Hello everyone. In this video, I am going to discuss about Section 6 of the Hindu Succession Act 1956, which has been amended in 2005 and has given equal rights to the daughter in the co-partnership property along with the son. Regarding Section 6, our Honorable Supreme Court has delivered many important judgments. So we are also going to discuss those important judgments in this video. According to Section 6, devolution of interest in the co-partnership property. On and from the commencement of Hindu Succession Amendment Act 2005, in a joint family gone by Mitakshara law, the daughter of a co-partner shall by birth becomes a co-partner in her own rights in the same manner as the son, and she shall have the same rights in the co-partnership property as the son and subject to the same liabilities as that of son in the co-partnership property. To this subsection 1 of Section 6, there is a condition or proviso which runs as, this subsection 1 shall not affect or invalidate any disposition or alienation, including any partition or testamentary disposition of property which had taken place before the 20th December 2004. The object of the proviso is to ensure that partitions, alienations, or testamentary dispositions which have taken place before this date are not reopened. Now, what about the state amendments which were made earlier to this date? Because there are several states like Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Maharashtra which were made amendments in this act so as to give equal rights to the daughter in the co-partnership property along with the son. The answer to this doubt is, as these were the state amendments, it was taken away by the amendment to the Hindu Succession Act in 2005, as the central enactment would prevail over the state amendment by virtue of Article 254 of the Constitution. Now let us go to subsection 2 of Section 6. A female Hindu would hold the property with the incidents of co-partnership ownership and shall regarded as property capable of being disposed of by her by testamentary disposition. That means she has full rights to dispose of her property by testamentary disposition as stated under Section 30 of the Hindu Succession Act 1956. Now, let's go to subsection 3 of Section 6, which stipulates how the devolution of co-partnership property takes place where a Hindu dies after the commencement of the Amendment Act 2005. Subsection 3 runs as, where a Hindu dies after the commencement of Hindu Succession Amendment Act 2005, his interest in the joint family property shall devolve by the testamentary or intestate succession and not by the survivorship, and the co-partnership property shall be deemed to have been divided as if a partition had taken place. And under Clause A, the daughter and son both are allotted with the same share. Under Clause B, the share of the predeceased son or predeceased daughter, their share shall be allotted to the surviving child of them, as they would have got had they been alive at the time of partition. Similarly, under Clause C, the share of the predeceased child of a predeceased son or a predeceased daughter, their share shall be allotted to the surviving child of the predeceased child of the predeceased son or daughter. So, overall subsection 3 speaks about the abolition of survivorship and the retention of the notional partition. Subsection 4 speaks about the abolition of pious obligation. After the commencement of Hindu Succession Amendment Act 2005, no court shall recognize any right to proceed against son, grandson, or great-grandson for the recovery of any debt due from his father, grandfather, or great-grandfather solely on the ground of pious obligation to discharge any debt. But there are few exceptions to this rule. If any debt contracted before the commencement of this act shall not affect the right of any creditor to proceed against son, grandson, or great grandson. If any alienation made in satisfaction of any such debt, then such alienation shall be enforceable in the same manner as if the Amendment Act 2005 has not enacted. According to subsection 5, Section 6 shall not apply to a partition which has been effected before the 20th December 1994. That means partition has been made by execution of a partition deed duly registered under the Registration Act 1908 or a partition affected by a decree of court, then this section shall not apply to those partitions. Now we will get number of doubts regarding Section 6 as amended by 2005, whether this Section 6 is prospective or retrospective in operation, or whether this Section 6 applies to which age group of daughters. And another doubt is, if there are any cases which are pending before the courts, what will be the result of those pending cases regarding the partition and the share of the daughters in the partition. So, to get a clarity on our doubts, let us discuss some of the important judgments delivered by our Honorable Supreme Court. Immediately after the amendment, the question regarding prospective or retrospective operation of the amended act cropped up before few high courts. The division bench of the Karnataka High Court in the case of Pushpalata NV versus Padma took the view that the amendment is retrospective in its operation. The court held that the status of a co-partner is conferred on the daughters on and from the date of the commencement of the Amendment Act, and the right is given to her by birth. But the court said to be eligible under the amendment section, she must have born after 17th June 1956, and the court also held that the woman would get the right in the ancestral property on her own whether her father is alive in 2005 or not. The interpretation of the amendment came up for consideration before full bench of the Bombay High Court in Badri Narayan Bhandari and others versus Om Prakash Shankar Bhandari. Bombay High Court framed inter alia the following questions for consideration, and those questions are whether Section 6 of the Hindu Succession Act 1956 as amended by the Amendment Act is prospective or retrospective in operation, whether Section 6 of the Hindu Succession Act 1956 is amended by Amendment Act applies to daughters born prior to 17 June 1956, whether Section 6 of the Hindu Succession Act 1956 as amended by the Amendment Act applies to daughters born after 17 June 1956 and prior to 9 September 2005, and whether Section 6 of the Hindu Succession Act 1956 as amended by the Amendment Act applies to the daughters born after 9 September 2005. On question A, the bench held that only after the commencement of the Amendment Act 2005, the rights under the amended Section 6 can be exercised by a daughter of a co-partner, and the court held that the daughters who seeks to exercise such right must herself be alive at the time when the Amendment Act 2005 was brought into force. And also, the court did not make any distinction between the daughters born before 1956 or after 1956. For the questions B, C, and D, amended Section 6 applies to daughters born prior to 17 June 1956 or thereafter between 17 June 1956 and after 8th September 2005, provided that they are alive on 9th September 2005. Admittedly, amended Section 6 applies to daughters born on or after 9th September 2006. On the interpretation of the proviso to the Section 6 of Clause 1, both Karnataka and Bombay High Court relied on the case of Ganduri Venkateshwaramma versus Chakiri Yanadi. in which the Supreme Court held that the right of a daughters in a coparcenary property as per the amended Section 6 are not lost merely because a preliminary decree has been passed in a partition suit and the suit for partition is not disposed of by passing of the preliminary decree, and it is by final decree the immovable property of joint Hindu family is partitioned by metes and bounds. In Prakash versus Fulavati, which is the 2015 case, where the Supreme Court held that the rights under the amendment are applicable to living daughters of living coparceners as on 9 September 2005, irrespective of when such daughters are born. The Supreme Court approved and followed the decision in Ganduri Koteshwaramma versus Chakiri Yanadi and Prakash versus Fulavati. In the case Danamma at Trade Suman Surpur versus Amar, the Supreme Court expressed its views on two legal propositions governing rights of daughters on coparcenary property. Firstly, the court held that the Amendment Act of 2005 is applicable to living daughters of living coparceners on the date on which the Act came into force by relying on Prakash versus Fulavati, and secondly, in this case, the court has stated that the daughters became coparceners by birth in the same manner as the son. Supreme Court also held that the partition is not complete with passing of a preliminary decree and attains finality only with the passing of the final decree. As such, there is an apparent confusion has been created as the Supreme Court in Prakash versus Fulavati case has observed that benefits shall be given to the living daughters of the living coparceners as on 9 September 2005. And on the other hand, the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of S. Sai Reddy versus S. Narayan Reddy and also in the case of Ganduri Koteshwaramma versus Chakiri Yanadi held that the living daughters of the deceased fathers who died before 9 September 2005 can also take the benefit of the amended act if there is a pending litigation on 9 September 2005. This confusion that has arrived in Danamma versus Amar was later clarified in Mangamal at Red Tulasi and others versus T.B. Raju. In this case, the Supreme Court held that the living daughters of living coparceners, both being alive on the 9th September 2005, would be entitled to claim the benefit of the Amendment Act of 2005. Later, the Supreme Court has taken a third view in the case of Shobha Purushottam versus Ramdas Dadaji, and the Supreme Court held that the daughters is entitled to the benefit of the amended law. Here, the Supreme Court has held that daughters must be alive on 9th September 2005, property must be available on 9th September 2005. If the daughter died before that date, that means on the 9th September 2005, and the suit has been filed even after the 9th September, daughters will be entitled to have the benefit of the amendment. The declaration of law in Prakash versus Fulavati and the confusion created by Danamma versus Amar and the latter clarification in Mangamal versus T.B. Raju was taken note by Delhi High Court while delivering judgment in the case of Vinita Sharma versus Rakesh Sharma. The issues involved in this case were whether a daughter born before 9 September 2005 is to be treated as a coparcener after coming into force the provisions of the Amendment of 2005, whether the Amendment Act 2005 applies prospectively or retrospectively, and further the issue was to effect of pending litigations on 9 September 2005. For this, the High Court applied the beneficial construction rule and held that such a daughter is entitled to the benefit of the amendment provisions. While deciding the appeal, the High Court has granted certificate of fitness to special leave petition to the Supreme Court. As such, the matter is pending for the final verdict from the full bench of the Apex Court. So this is all about Section 6, which has been amended in 2005. And also I have mentioned some of the important cases of the Supreme Court which may be useful for all our law students. Please watch the complete video. If you have any doubts, mention in the comment box, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Our Indian Laws. Thank you for watching.